We have been studying the minor prophets, and we have already looked at the book of Habakkuk. Now, in our study of the minor prophets, there are three very important aspects that we need to study in order to understand the minor prophets well. Now, the first aspect is, why are these minor prophets called minor prophets? Does it mean that they are not significant? Well, these minor prophets, 12 of them in the Old Testament, are in no way insignificant, but they are very, very significant. But those who put the 66 books of the Bible together followed this rule that the bigger books should come first. So be it Paul's letters or the prophetic books in the Old Testament, in our Bibles they are not in chronological order, but they are arranged based on the size of the book. So the bigger books come first, and then the smaller books come next, and then end with the smaller books. Now, the four major prophets, as we know, are Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Daniel. These are bigger books, and the minor prophets are much smaller books. So that is why these are called minor prophets. Also, these are very significant prophetic books because there are two major themes that run through these books. One is social justice, and the second is concern for the poor. Now, God always stands with the oppressed and those who are facing injustice, and that we know as we study through the Bible. So God calls His people towards social justice, and He is calling His people to have concern for the poor. So these two themes are major themes that run through these minor prophetic books. Now, talking about social injustice, we already looked at the kind of injustice that was going on during the time of Habakkuk in Judah. But today, in our context, especially in the state of Tamil Nadu, where I am from and where I am living now, the NEET, or National Eligibility Cum Entrance Test, is going through a lot of controversy and political. If you're following the news, you will know that political leaders are battling through to scrap this test, what we call the NEET test, which is an entrance test to qualify for undergraduate and postgraduate medical studies. Now, why they want to get rid of the NEET test is because it is discriminatory against poor students and students from rural areas, and there have been cases of even suicide, students committing suicide because they could not get into medical studies because of this need. So I'm sure we are aware of this, but that is just an example of the social injustice that we face today. And there are many other issues of social injustice that are going on in this world. So as God's people, we must fight for the justice of the poor and the oppressed, and we must care for the poor. Now, thirdly, we will study these prophets in chronological order. In our Bibles, as mentioned, these are not in chronological order, but let us look at these 12 prophets in chronological order, starting with the prophet Jonah. Now, these are all in BC as far as the timeline of these prophets is concerned. So, starting with Jonah, we go back to 798 BC, and then comes Amos in 796 BC, and then comes Hosea from 796 to 719 BC, and then followed by Micah from 740 to 711 BC, and then Nahum in 711 BC, and then Habakkuk, which we already looked at, 626 BC, and then Zephaniah, probably 20 years after Habakkuk, again somewhere around 626 BC. Now 596 to 586 comes Prophet Joel, and then 590 BC comes Obadiah, and then 520 BC comes Haggai, followed by Prophet Zechariah from 520 to 518 BC, and then finally comes the Prophet Malachi, or the prophetic book Malachi, in 400 BC. So these are the chronological timelines of these minor prophets. So a very important three aspects in our study of the minor prophets. Hopefully these will help us better understand the minor prophets and the events of the people of God and how God worked through them in the Old Testament. Amen.